Hi everyone. For this section, we're going to look at how to identify target markets and facilities that match your goals and your investment criteria. So within TrackedIQ, the first thing I would look to do here is to filter facilities that match a specific criteria. So say for instance, you want to buy facilities that are between 10 and 30,000 square feet, which would be anywhere from $1 to $2 million in total purchase price. You can just put in a filter here of properties that are greater than 10,000 net rentable square feet and less than 30,000 net rentable square feet. In terms of the management type of the property, do you want to buy from REITs or large institutional groups, or from groups that aren't larger institutional players? So I'm going to hit non-designated. Additionally, we want to look for properties where we have owner information just to make the outreach more efficient. And I like to look for, let's say in this example, non-climate facilities that are getting less than $150 for their 10 by 10 to demonstrate some rental rate upside. So if I apply all those filters, you can see on the screen here that all these numbers actually went down. And now in TrackedIQ, all the facilities that would populate are the ones that fit your facility criteria. So that's part one. Part two would be, okay, now you want to filter for areas across the United States that match your criteria. So let's say, for instance, you want areas that are growing by more than 4% in the next 5 years based on our housing data. You also want the area to have at least a $70,000 median household income. And for good measure, you also want the square foot per capita of the property to be less than 10. So if you hit done, now you'll see all of the states that are in blue are states that actually fit your criteria, like Texas in this case, versus some other states that are blanketed out that don't. But let's say you're focused on Texas and you want to drill in a little deeper. Right over here, you can change this from automatic to MSA to county, or get even more granular and look at zip code or census tract. So as I zoom in, and you can see in Austin, there's a handful of facilities like this one. Windy Meadows Storage is 23,000 net rentable square feet. It's in a target zip code here in Pflugerville, Texas, that matches my goals. I can click view more details and see quickly the website and the phone number of the property. I can see that the non-climate is only getting $82. And if I quickly look at the analysis, I can see that in 5 miles of the property, you have a very healthy population base to draw from. Supply per capita is a little elevated in this sense, but maybe I could look at drive time, and maybe there's pockets over here that could make sense. You can see that the income levels are very healthy. There's a ton of, not necessarily storage development in the pipeline, but a ton of new housing development in the pipeline, which we can look at here. And oh yeah, this area is growing really quickly. And in a couple of seconds, I can identify that this property is one that looks interesting. For my outreach, now that I've identified that this property is one that fits, I can just pop open the storage facilities report here in TrackedIQ. And if we just look at this property here, you get all the characteristics of each one of these properties. And if I scroll to the right, I can see that Alan Keith is the owner on file that we have. Here's the phone number, so you can give him a call, and you can also send them a postcard using their parcel address. You can see that this was a new build, and you can see what the taxable improvement value is as well. But this would be a way to quickly get a list of owners for target facilities that actually fit and make the owner process more efficient. So this is a way for you to use data to match your goals, to match your investment criteria. And what I have here in the playbook is that once you identify a couple of target markets, you should really focus on those markets. And I say that because if you were to take a scattershot approach and just try to do this nationwide, and you're just calling everyone in sight, maybe you hire someone to do that, you're not going to gain as much of a local competitive edge where, really understanding the market is key. It's hard to develop relationships like that at scale versus the strategy of picking 5 to 10 markets. In this case, Austin would be one, where you can really get to know not just the owner of Windy Meadows Storage, but you can also get to know Alamo Mini Storage's ownership and Round Rock Mini Storage's ownership, and really understand and develop the true relationships with all these individuals so that when they are looking to consider selling their property, you're one of their first calls.